Back in the golden era of PC gaming, I remember coming across Mafia, and during that time I had already played Grand Theft Auto. I had already played a bunch of similar games like it. What set Mafia aside was its tone. It was its retrospect. It was everything that made the game look and feel classy. You know, Mafia II is a very solid game. The story is so well. Not only that, the game is really lengthy, which kind of was a surprise. And yes, for those people who are Grand Theft Auto fans and are looking for sandbox games like these, this is definitely a title to look into.
Away from Sicily, across the ocean, to start a new life in America.
There's all sorts of classy cars. There's also eras that you see and seasons that you don't really see in other games. You do see weather conditions and stuff like Grand Theft Auto, but you don't really see seasons like snow and
and holidays, like you'll be driving in your car and you'll hear a Christmas song all of a sudden.
This is more of a cozy city. Grand Theft Auto is on a bigger scale, but this is definitely more of a cozy city, so it's easier for you to remember a lot of the locations. Yes, you'll identify them shortly after you start playing and shortly after you're just driving around through the city. I love the driving mechanics in this game. It's just so well done. Feel the weight. The cars are, old school cars, so you don't expect them to fly.
Exactly, they're capped out at like 105, 110.
So you could take cars, repair them, tune them, paint them,
up.
Change the license plate, repair them, of course, if it's damaged. But if you sport tune it all the way, I actually have a car that I believe could go a little over 120 miles an hour. And those are the cars where you're just reckless and cops are chasing you throughout the city.
I like the way that a real collision is going to kill you right away.
Exactly.
If you are going 100 miles per hour and you are elevated and you crash into anything, 95% of the time you're going to die. And that's cool with me because that's real. Because we would die if we did that in real life.
Exactly. It's if you go head on with a car and that impact was just too powerful, you're gonna die. I think the speed limiter is a great add-on. It's a great feature. In fact, you drive a lot safer, and your collision is a lot less with the other vehicles if you have it on. I actually was using it to drift through the city with faster cars. I would just press A real quick and press A again, and it'll give me this little drift under my wheels just to get that nice little edge on the curves, helping me to get away from cops, enemies, or whatnot. But your aiming is never going to be 100% precise. Back then, the guns weren't as accurate as they are in modern day life. So you're never going to get a gun that's going to have 100% precision of where you're going to shoot at. Even if it shows you're directly aiming at somebody's head, you have a slight chance of missing, and I really appreciate that. I like that because, like I said, guns weren't modernized back then. It wasn't to a point where it's easy to point and shoot. Just like every game nowadays, you expect to like aim at something, shoot, and they're dead. In this one, there's more of a likely chance that you're gonna miss, which is really fun. The hand-to-hand combat is really cool in this game. It's just it gets stale fast, but as soon as it does get stale, they introduce you to advanced moves that you learn while you're in prison, not to give anything away. But basically what's going on is the fighting mechanics are pretty simple. You're locked onto your enemy as soon as you engage in hand-to-hand combat. You hold A to just get ready to block. The convenient thing is as soon as the guy throws a punch, it'll automatically counter, but you have to throw that swing immediately. If you're half a second late, you're gonna miss. These counters are really strong hits, and they're usually what knocks down the enemies. Again, it gets stale in the fact that there isn't too many moves or too many finishers, but there is also environment attacks, which are really well done. You can use walls, you can use vehicles, you can use cover, you could use pillars, you can use any sort of environment like a crate. If it's right next to you, you're going to use it in a clever way to try to knock that guy out.
You know what's cool? I noticed after a certain kill, whether you run someone over or shoot them right in the head, they ragdoll to the ground, and it looks so cool sometimes. I remember we spent like at least 10 minutes just running people over just to see how they would splatter against the wall or go through a fence.
You could be wanted for anything that you do. If you kill somebody and a cop sees it or somebody sees it, you're automatically going to be wanted. Now, the way to get rid of this wanted is to go to a clothing store and just change how you look, or go to your home and just change your clothes. is some of the best voice acting I've heard in a while, and some of the most realistic, acting scenes. Where a bunch of characters are interacting, and it just immerses you. And I must admit, compared to Grand Theft Auto, where they're all more about cartoony humor and all sorts of stuff like that, there's more seriousness in these cutscenes than there is jokes.
And that's the way it should be, considering the subject matter. In media, any kind of media, when you're talking about this era and talking about this kind of story, you can't goof off and make jokes. This is a very serious time, there's a very serious business they were in.
And jewels. Plus, a little extra for our trouble. Joe, fill him in.
The jewelry store's in the shopping mall in the middle of town. There's no guards at night, so all we gotta do is pick the lock and waltz right in.
Sounds a little too simple.
Because it is simple.
Another thing I really like about this game is the music. The music is so good, and like you said, this is the golden era, right? And this is where music really was born. This is where rock was first introduced. This is where pop was born. This is where music was music at its rawest form, without any sort of production. I mean, I don't even know what real music is anymore, I don't know who produced what, I don't know who made who sound great, but I don't believe in musicians anymore, because there are, it's so many fake people out there now, and 99% of them are you musicians out there. You heard this right.
I get the feeling this is the type of game that you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, and it's all going to be dependent on A, your expectations, and 2, your state of mind when you put this game in. If you're gonna put it in and say, "Oh, it better be better than GTA," or anything like that, you're probably gonna get disappointed, because they are different games, even though at the core they have similarities. And so it's all gonna be up to you guys. We gave it a special because we looked at it objectively. We looked at it as a standalone title. We did our best to forget that GTA even exists, even though in this review you have to compare some things. We're being realistic, but when you do that, when you give it a real chance and a clean slate, and just let yourself enjoy it, just suspend reality for how many hours a day you're playing, there's no way you're not gonna like this game, because the effort is there, the fun factor is there. All you gotta do is just shut up and just clear your mind and play the game. That's it.
That's it. All we're telling you to do is go get a copy of Mafia II and go join a mob.
Hell, rent it. Go ahead and rent it and play it. And if you're telling me it wasn't worth the rent money, then I have nothing to say to you anymore.